Hi there, this is Tess Snowball here from the Academic Skills and Learning Centre. I'm just doing this short video to give you some tips and guidance for completing the referencing assignment that's due Friday this week. So remember that this assignment is compulsory, so you do need to submit it, and it's worth 5%. It's due at 4 p.m. on Friday, and you submit it through the Wattle site, the same Wattle site where you signed up for the workshops. So to remember what the question is. So you've been asked to answer a question about what determines corporate innovation, but you have been asked to only write one paragraph that's somewhere between 150 to 200 words, and it needs to incorporate 3 sources: the journal article that's been supplied on the Wattle site by Erdem Ukar, then the online report from the Australian Government, there's a link provided, and then you need to find one other source yourself, and it can be any academic source such as a book chapter, or another journal article. What you need to do is you need to make sure that all sources that you use are correctly cited with in-text citations, and there needs to be at least one quote. That means the other 2 sources will be paraphrases or summaries. You need to have a correctly formatted reference list at the end, and these all need to be done using the Harvard style. So this table outlines how the marks will be allocated. Notice that most of the marks are there to show that you've incorporated the 3 sources, and this is where we're looking at you writing in your own words. So we're expecting to see excellent paraphrasing and summarising. You're going to get 20% will be for your quote, and the quote needs to be formatted correctly. So if you have to make any slight changes to the quote, it needs to be done in the correct format, and all of that is outlined on the Wattle site under the referencing lesson. All the in-text citations need to be formatted correctly according to the style guide, as does your reference list, and that's how the marks will be allocated. What will it look like? Here's the sample paragraph, and your paragraph should look a little bit similar to this. It won't be exactly the same, but this gives you an idea. So up the top is the question. First up, at the beginning and the end of the paragraph, we'd expect to see your answer to the question. So you start your paragraph by saying some part of the answer to the question about corporate innovation. In your case here, it's about Woolworths. And notice that the last sentence is just summing up. Notice that there are 3 in-text citations. These are formatted in the Harvard style. One of them, the last one, by Torvedi, we actually mention the author's name in the sentence. Okay, notice that we don't put in a first name, it's just the surname. And then in brackets comes the year. And in this case, there's a page number because there's a quote. Here is the quote. So you need to include one quote. And in this case, notice the word of in square brackets. This is because we needed to add that word in so that the sentence would make sense, so that we were using correct grammar. You can make very minor adjustments to quotes following the rules. The rest of the text are paraphrases and summaries. Now this sentence is a total of this paragraph is a total of 113 words. So you can see that you don't need to do more than 150 to 200 words. It just needs to be a simple response. What we're looking for is to see correct paraphrasing and summarising, correct quoting, and correct in-text citations. Follow it with your reference list. Now remember, in your case, it's all going to be on the one page. So here's a reference list that's been formatted according to the Harvard style. And things to note is that it's in alphabetical order, there's no numbers, and it's all formatted consistently. So if you haven't already, I urge you to do the referencing self-assessment quiz and the referencing lesson. I've been getting a lot of students asking questions and they haven't completed these. You really need to complete them because that answers a lot of your questions, and you can go back and look at things when you're actually doing the assignment to help you to do things such as quote correctly or do in-text citations. The other thing you need to do is to become familiar with the Harvard Referencing Guide. So you need to actually have a look at it, and that's how you work out how to do your in-text citations and your reference list at the end. So when you're looking for your third source, remember that you can get a book or a chapter in a book or a journal article. The top two would be what we consider the most academic, but it could be that some of the other sources might also be okay. There's a section on the Wattle site on finding sources if you're struggling to find something. So with the quote, just a reminder, remember that it's got to be exactly as the original, has to be formatted correctly, there must be a citation, a page number needs to be included if it has them. Web pages don't have page numbers, and you need to introduce it. There needs to be some text before and or after. To remind you, there's some introductory text, there's the quotation marks, and finally there's the citation, including the page number. So the referencing lesson tells you how to do this step by step. Summary or a paraphrase, that's rewriting someone else's idea into your own words. Sample. So that's a summary of the author's main argument, and there's the in-text citation. So remember, you need to include 2 summaries or paraphrases in your response. And again, the referencing lesson has step-by-step instructions, and you can just go back to that section to remind yourself how to do it. So remember that you only need to use the relevant material or ideas. So some of your sources are really long. The government report, for example, is very long. So you need to only find one idea that might be relevant to the question that you've been asked. You don't need to summarise or read the entire government report. When you go to do your paraphrase, don't look at the source, rely on your notes. And then once you've done your paraphrase, check back to make sure that it still conveys the same meaning, that you've used different words, different structure, and don't forget your citation. So here was an example from the workshop where we had some original text followed by our notes and then the paraphrase sentence. So putting in the notes helps you to reword and restructure so that you've got it in your own words. Don't forget to check your Turnitin report. Make sure that it highlights your quotes because your quotes should match. You want to make sure that all your paraphrase don't match, and you will find that your reference list will match. So don't be concerned if you have a reasonably high similarity percentage, because in an assignment like this, it's a very small piece of text, so it's only 150 words, and then you've got a reference list, so it's likely that you will have a reasonably high percentage. What you need to do is check each and every match to make sure it's okay. If you're not sure, look at the Turnitin practice site. It's got step-by-step instructions on how to interpret your similarity report. So if you haven't already, complete the self-assessment quiz, do the referencing lesson, carefully read the assignment instructions and think about how you're going to answer the question. Have a look at the assigned text, but remember you don't have to read every word, and then find yourself one other source. So have a go at writing up your response, doing your paraphrasing and your quotes, and then submit it to the Wattle site and make sure you have a look at your Turnitin report and make any adjustments. You can keep resubmitting up until 4 p.m. on Friday. And don't forget to use the Harvard Style Guide to make sure that you format correctly. Here are some of the questions that I've been asked, so you might find these useful. So remember that this is all about referencing. I've been getting quite a few students who are worried about the quality of their answer. We're not marking you on the quality of your answer, we're marking you on your referencing and incorporating sources. If you look at the marking criteria, all we need is for your paragraph to make sense and to be about the topic. So don't worry too much about the quality of your answer to the question. Worry about your referencing and incorporating the sources. If a journal article has no issue number that you can find, then you don't include it. That happens sometimes. Sometimes journals only have volumes and not issues. Don't forget that when you're doing in-text citations, it's just the author's last name or surname. And there's a section on the referencing lesson that talks about identifying first names and last names. So if you're having a bit of confusion there, you might want to go have another look at that. A few people have asked, is it okay if you go over the word limit? Well, we don't want you to go over the word limit because you should be able to answer this question in 150 words. So don't overcomplicate it. Don't do too much text. Your whole assignment should fit on one page, so put your reference list on the same page as your paragraph. And you don't need a cover sheet, you don't need a title, you don't need to include your name or your student ID. All this information is all recorded through Turnitin when you submit your assignment. Now, don't forget that we'll be doing drop-ins this week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 12 to 1. There's more information on the Wattle site. You can come along with your assignment and with some questions. Now, we won't be sitting there and checking to tell you if it's correct, but if you've got any particular questions that you've got about the assignment, you can come along and ask us. All right, all the best, and remember, this assignment is all about helping you to learn how to reference correctly and how to incorporate sources. And that's the point of the exercise. So all the best.